is the year 1999. I'm 8 years old, and it's the first time I write in my diary about another boy. We are at a table tennis tournament, and I write that I had long eye contact with him. But I am clearly not gay, I write down. I am not gay, I write repeatedly. I write, I am not gay until there is no space left on the page. It is the year 2000. I'm now 9 years old. And while I'm working on a class assignment, one of my classmates whispers, "You write in a girly way. You write like a girl." And I feel that my face turns red. It is the year 2002. I'm now 11 years old, and to finish off primary school, we organize a talent night. Together with two other boys, we decide to dress up like K3, a Belgian girl group. But after our lip sync performance, someone comes up to me and says, "It fits you too well. Do you want to be a girl?" It is the year 2003. I am now 12 years old and I'm in first grade. And I decide that I will try to show up as straight as I can and will not cross my legs anymore in class. It is the year 2005. I'm 14 years old and I feel unsafe. I hear the slur gay so often in the hallway that I decide to hide during the breaks in the toilet rooms, to be safe, to be not attacked. And it's now the year 2006. I'm 15 years old, and when I arrive home back from school, I see that the window of my parents' home is covered in egg whites. I decide to pick up every eggshell I can find and clean it all up before my parents get home from work. It is now the year 2008. I'm 17 years old, and all my peers started dating. But I am so fed up with all the questions from my parents and my friends about my sexuality that I decide to make up a lie. And I tell them that I fell in love with Lisa. It is now the year 2011. I'm 20 years old and I had the first kiss with a boy. And I don't want to hide anymore. I want to tell my parents and I come out. But naive as I am, I thought, when I confess to be gay, the bullying will finally be over. Only children will be harsh and judgmental towards each other, right? I quickly realized that also parents can be, and adults can be as well. It is the year 2015. I finished my studies. I'm now 23 years old. And I start entering the corporate world. And I'm struggling. I'm struggling to wear what I like, but also showing up formal. And suits don't suit me. I don't like to wear a tie. And people comment a lot about then I pierced my ear, or when I show up at the office with nail polish on, or when I grow my hair longer up until my shoulders. Although I disagree, I realize that being gay is not the biggest problem, but it's when I show up not conform my gender. To give you an example, a colleague of mine comes up to me on a Monday morning at the coffee machine and she asks, "Do you wish to have children one day, Remco?" And I said to her, "Well, that's quite a personal question. Why?" "Yeah," she says, "because I realized last night talking about you with my husband that you cannot produce babies the normal way, the natural way." I thought first she was joking, but I realized that she's dead serious. So I make a joke. I say, "Thank you for this free biology class." And I move on with my day. Although I try to stay as calm as I can, broadening the horizon of my colleagues, I feel frustration and anger building up in my body. I feel that I might explode soon. But I want to use this emotion in a more productive and constructive way. So I think, what can I do? And I decide to reach out to other LGBTI individuals working for different companies, and I start building an online platform. How to survive as a queer person in the corporate world. Can you be a corporate queer? And the moment that I find that term, it really hits me because it's for me an interesting paradox. Corporate for me means fitting the narrow business norms, while being queer for me means freedom. And I believe I'm not too corporate to be queer or too queer to be corporate. So let's create more room for other ways of expression. Talking about it with others, both queer and straight people, helps me to feel less alone. And I start giving keynotes to organizations, how they can stop the bullies, how they can show up as allies, and how they can create a psychologically and physically safe working environment. And you might ask yourself now, what can I do as a manager, as a colleague? I will give you 3 quick suggestions. First of all, make sure there is representation, that you have visible role models at the top of your organization that are part of the community. Only then younger queers will believe that they have the ability to reach to the top. Secondly, also discuss if people feel safe in meetings regularly. Talk about microaggressions, what behavior is okay and what is not okay. Set clear boundaries. And thirdly, realize when people work internationally that we are only able to marry in 39 countries. For the people that do not know, we have almost 200 countries in the world. So in over 150 countries, we're not able to marry a same-sex partner. In 60 countries, it is illegal to be LGBT. And even in 6 countries, it is still punishable with the death penalty. While my following online grows, I decide to work full-time on my mission, to challenge the heteronorm in business, to challenge the gender binary, and to not justify the status quo. 5 years in 2023, I am then 32 years old, I decided it's time for a first cross-company leadership program specifically for LGBTI individuals. I call it Defiantly Different, because I believe we should be proud of who we are. We should be proud to not fit the norm, to be a misfit. In the minority experience, there is value, there's quality in it. And last month, we finished the 4th edition of this program. We have now over 70 alumni. And instead of an old boys network, we've now created an old queers network, where people help each other, hand each other jobs, encourage each other to be more open and visible in the workplace, and to reach for that top position. So let's add some queerness to the boardroom. I believe we're taught to hate, but we're born to love. And it's your job to choose what path we go. Thank you.